PDF pattern tutorial, open and close sign. This is a little look at what your pattern will look like when you get it. I will include one with round corners, curved corners, and one with sharp corners. The sharp corners give more of a number plate look, whereas the round corners give more of a nice hanging sign look. But it's a personal option, so I'm giving you both choices. And there will be a little bit of a join on the actual sign pieces itself. So good luck, have fun, and this is how I did it. You can always just cut it out by hand, but I managed to do it all on my Brother Scan and Cut. I cut the pieces out, but all the stitching holes I let the machine just mark it. So I did punch all the holes. I did it on my 12 by 12 pieces, and this is the machine here at high speed. I've sped it right up. This is just drawing the punch holes. So the punch holes are about 5mm apart, but you will need a single hole punch for some areas where they are a little bit closer or a little bit further apart. But I've done my best to make them all 5mm. So you can actually use multiple punches on it if you wish. Here it is doing the cut. It does several cuts. I think it does like a certain depth, and then it comes back and does it again. I let it do it 3 times on this one, and on the letters I let it do 3 times as well. This is a 2.5mm leather, and this one here is 2 to 3 ounce, so I think it's like 1.2mm or something. Really good for the letters, and it actually worked really well. Here I am pulling it apart, so all the letters actually cut beautifully except for one of them. I think it was the N. I had to just do a little cut with the scissors, but no problem. Nice and tidy, all the pieces cut out beautifully. But they're big enough pieces, and it's thin enough leather, so you could actually cut all the pieces out with scissors or a knife if you wished. This 2.5mm, I let it do 3 rounds of cutting. It didn't quite cut it through, but it's easy enough to bend over and just bend that edge over, and you can see how I'm cutting them out with some sharp scissors. I didn't mind that at all. I'd rather that than have it slip and actually do a cut somewhere I didn't want a cut. So beautifully, really pleased with the outcome using the Brother Scan and Cut. Then I went ahead and dyed the pieces. I used a tan on the main pieces and actually a dark brown on the letters. But once I actually put some oil on it as well, it turned it black. But that's okay. In the end, I'm really pleased with the outcome. And then I did some kind of blackish around the edges just to give it a an nice edge look. Here I am putting some double-sided tape on. This is Quilter's double-sided tape. It's nice and thin. Then I just put it's just like thin twine, and that just gives each letter a little bit of standoff. I like giving it like a 3D look, so I did that on each of them. Probably would have been better giving it a little bit of a sanding inside each letter for the double-sided tape to stick a bit better, but it worked well, and I got all the letters done, and I was really pleased with the way that it came out. So what I've actually put in between is 3mm thonging. I had plenty of it. I didn't know if it was going to work or not, but it worked fine. I did have 2mm. I thought that was a bit thin, so sticking with the 3mm for these letters works perfectly. If I did smaller letters, I'd probably use the 2mm thonging. But have a look at this and see if it's something you could do. You could always do the letters flat. You don't need to give it the 3D look like I have. But that Quilter's double-sided tape that I use is absolutely fantastic. You can sew through it. You can actually wash it away. It's actually a wash away tape as well, so if it gets wet it does just dissolve. So if you're wanting something permanent, I definitely wouldn't use it, but it is fantastic. I use it all the time for stabilizing things for when I want to sew and stitch things in place. I just thought I'd slow down a bit and just show you what it's like, how slow I actually do so. I know when you speed it up it looks like, wow, these people do actually do their craft really fast, but I do it slowly. I'm not a fast person at all. I'd love to be a lot faster, and I probably should have it held up with a pony or something like that, but sometimes I just like to hold it in my hands. And look, there you can kind of see the 3D look standing out on there. Really worth the extra effort. It is a little bit harder than sewing it flat, but it gives such a nice look. You could actually do the whole sign out of pre-dyed leather, oil tanned leather. You wouldn't have to do it out of just straight plain veg tan and dye it yourself. So you can actually make it a lot easier on yourself if you're not into dyeing the leather to get a certain colour. You could always change the letters and make the sign say something else. There's so many options with this. I just really wanted an open and closed sign because one day maybe I will have a shop for all my leather crafts that I've been doing. Or maybe it's just the fact that I wanted to do a pattern. Sometimes, you never know with me, I have so many things I want to do and try, and the opportunities are just around the corner often, but I absolutely am thoroughly enjoying the pattern making and designing and then stitching it up to see if it works. So once you've got to this point here where you've sewn on all your letters and you've checked it out, I always give it a good rub with my shine brush. Absolutely love the shine brush. Then you get ready for gluing them back to back. I did put a piece of cardboard in between mine, just the height of the letters, and I actually did video myself gluing it, but for some reason it didn't take. So here you can see I'm actually just clipping the two pieces together. I have actually glued it all around the edges. I had pins in the holes to make sure my holes matched. I love using ice cream sticks, so I don't have to put the clips onto my leather itself. So I glue it like this right around, clip it on, and then I leave it overnight, at least 24 hours before I take the clips off. Here I am, 24 hours is the next day, taking them all off, and it's worked beautifully. So the next step is sewing around the edges. And I did actually use one big long thread, which I probably should have done it in two lots. I get a little bit tied up and messed up, but you know, sometimes I just don't like joins anywhere, but that doesn't matter. I ended up stitching right around and it looks really good. I used a black. I was going to actually use a dark brown thread because of the dyes that I used, but since I oiled all the leather, it's kind of darkened it and made it all blackish. So black thread it is, and I think it was the right choice in the end, because when you see when it's finished, it doesn't stand out too much, but it gives it a nice look or a nice finished edge. Doesn't it just look nice and shiny? That is because after I dyed it, I gave it a good coating of neats fit oil. Then I put some Resolene on it. I let the Resolene for about a couple of hours. Then I put one more coat of Resolene on and left that for about 2 hours. Then I put Tokonole on it. And I love that. To me, that just gives it another shine. Sometimes on top of that, I will put Dubbin as well. But to me the shine on this was just beautiful, so I left it and I'm really pleased. And don't you just love the shine or the gloss of that? That is supposed to be tan, a tan colour. So nice. Next step is to get those eyelets in there. So I managed to find some nice gold ones. I have a nice gold chain which I will attach so I can hang it on a door. So that is a nice finishing touch. Then the last step is always the edges. Now I did actually smooth out my edges when they were just raw vegetable tan, and because I glued it and they're quite flat, I haven't had to actually sand it. They were nice and flat and even, so I'm just using 2 or 3 layers of coconut along the edges, and to me that's just going to be enough. I don't need to. I love standing it on a table and giving it a rub. To me, it just ends up being so much smoother, sharper, and such a nice edge. The reason the edge is black is a little bit because of the dye, but I also burnt off any fray bits rather than having to sand it, and that blackened it a bit as well. So between the dye, the burning, and the coconut, the edge just comes up fantastic. So pleased. I often do a second lot of coconut as well. I just find that that gives it that little bit of gloss or shine on the edge as well. So just that finishing touch for my pieces. This sign has the sharp edges, so it looks a little bit like a car number plate, and I kind of like that comment that I got. So I may do a couple of personalised number plates that look similar to this, because I do think it's a really good finish. Have fun and enjoy. Thank you again for watching another one of my videos.